welcome to Digital Ship webinar on seafarers making their own purchases. It's a new subject that we haven't covered in our webinar so far, and we invited two guest speakers to talk to you, both from maritime e-marketplace called Moscord. Please welcome founder and CEO Freddie Ingemann and his colleague CIO Michael Clint, who replaces Tom Olesen that we previously featured as a speaker. This webinar received sponsorship from Moscord as well, and please use the opportunity to ask the speakers questions via the Q&A box. We are starting with Carl Jeffrey, founding editor of Digital Ship, who will briefly explain today's subject.
Well, thanks, Fida. So the subject today, we're going to talk about purchasing items for ships, and we think we can reduce the costs by as much as 10% by cutting out intermediaries and cutting out the manual work. So I'll try and explain quickly how it works. So the normal way you do purchasing, the shipping company sends out requests for quotes for suppliers who are normally based in the next port of call for the ship. So instead of doing that, we've got a method which is more commonly used, I think, with companies that's got lots of sites on the land. So you've got a large buying company, a shipping company here makes a framework catalogue agreement with a large supplier with a list of items and prices which this supplier is going to provide to at any place in the world at the same price. And once it's set up, there's no more intermediaries, no requesting for quotes. You just pay the delivery company to deliver it and a port agent to look after it in the port until the ship arrives. So I thought maybe a useful analogy to think about how it works. So if you think about how you're buying stuff for your home these days, so if you're anything like me, you've got some items you end up buying direct from manufacturers over the website. You've got some stuff you buy on big online shops like Amazon. There's stuff you buy online from a grocery chain. There's stuff that you'd rather buy in your local shop or a small shop or a big shop. And you can see quite easily underneath the surface the reasons why you're getting more lower costs or better service or in all of these different places. Now, we're not just talking about the personal thing here, we're talking about corporate buying, and companies want to keep in control of what their staff buy or the seafarers buy, but they want to also give autonomy. So with this system, a shipping company can let the crew say you can make your own decisions about buying items from a certain budget, but you can only order within the system if that's what you want. So Moscord is based in Singapore. It's a e-marketing place, e-commerce place. It works together with a Danish digital commerce firm called Impact, and their platform is called Apollo for catalog management, ordering, payment, and fulfillment. They've already got 200,000 different products in their catalog, which suppliers say they can deliver. So that's including consumables, provisions, spares, safety equipment, electronics, tools, and personal protective equipment. There's lots of different levels you can engage with Moscord, a basic level where you just compare Moscord's offering with what other opportunities you've got, or you can have a deeper integration using it for all purchasing, or an even deeper integration into your planned maintenance system. Their customers include Berger, Bulk, and Hafnia. And our speaker today is Freddie Ingemann, who's the founder and CEO of Moscord. He's been involved in maritime sales and supply since 1985, working with MAN, ShipServe as Vice President Sales and Supplier Solutions, and now with Moscord. And he's going to be joined in the panel by his Chief Information Officer, Michael Clint. So I'd like to invite Freddie to give the opening talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carl. I hope you all can hear me clearly. Yeah. I'm really hoping for a good little hour here now. Mainly a good conversation and discussion about the topics we will bring up. So the presentation here today is really not a lot about presenting Moscord. I hope that will only take a few minutes, but more to bring some topics up we can discuss of how we can improve procurement in the ship supply business in the future. So let me just share my screen. I take you can see my screen now?
Yep.
Good. Get it up here. Yes. So first a little introduction to Moscord. As I think the main part of we have an e-marketplace where we are displaying products from now many different suppliers. It's a catalog minded for crew members. So we have functionalities on the catalog which is designed and created, developed specifically for the use on board a vessel. The way we work is trying to make the things in the most lean way. So we are displaying the product from the suppliers on the catalog, meaning the marketplace on board the vessel. It's not one marketplace. We are actually developing profiles for every single vessel, but I will talk a little bit more about this later. We are selling products. We do it in two different ways. We have what we call supplier sale and merchant sale, where the sellers, they sell directly to the customer. And we are also taking care of managing the delivery. So we have on our platform processes which can manage the consolidation of product and last mile delivery in a standardized way all over the world. So it is from display to sell to deliver, covering the whole chain. The way we work with our customer is that we have, first of all, we work with data from the buyer. We are doing cleaning of, for instance, historical data. So we can out from historical data build a unique catalog. We call it a buyer-based catalog. So in this way, we are able to describe specifically what this customer have of demand. And with this catalog, we can map different suppliers into this using the buyer's own internal coding protocol. This base catalog is really a key in our setup. We can also deliver a base catalog to the customer, but most often we take the starting point in the historical data and what the actual customer actually need. Out from this base catalog, we can map his own suppliers. So the purchaser can say, I have a number of suppliers here I want to have on the platform. And then we onboard these suppliers. He can also go in and see products already and suppliers already enabled on Moscord and choose products which is available. So it's really under the control of the fleet manager, specifically the purchasers, of what products are going to be shown on board the vessels. Just take down this one here. Hereafter, we work with logistics. So for every single buyer, we are working on the logistic in each port. Moscord has our own port hub we can offer in the main ports, but we can definitely also work with the buyer's own logistics setup, and we can work with ship chandlers, which we are doing as well. So the processes on Moscord is really flexible, where we can work with any logistics setup in the ports around the world. When all this work is done, then we are building the profile for the customer, which is based on the buyer-based catalog I talked about before. And it is under the control of the purchaser, which products they want to have shown on the platform. There can be different quality levels. They want to select different brands, suppliers, etc. So in this way, we can have a profile on board the vessels with, for instance, 10, 12 different, up to 20 different suppliers, from where the crew members now can select the products they need. Aside of that, we are also doing a punch out, and you will in a few seconds see a punch out integration between Moscord and the purchasing or the fleet management system Certica. So we have an open API, so we can do integrations to different systems, meaning that we can transfer the line items or the products they have selected on Moscord online on board the vessel, transfer these line items into the requisition system. And from there, the process is actually going in a normal way, process-wise. It's the thing is that this is now a requisition which is based on the product from the basket, which is the supplier's own descriptions and pre-negotiated prices. So in this way, we don't need to send RFQs out of these products, but can place direct orders. Yeah, I will show you now a short video, and I will voice over the video where you will be able to see how the purchaser here, the crew member on board the vessel is selecting the products, and how he directly on the vessel can transfer the line items into the requisition interface on board the vessel, and from there send home this requisition to the purchaser, and from there the purchaser will send this transaction as a direct PO to Moscord. We will split this transaction and send it to the suppliers, and the suppliers will deliver the products in our port hub, where we will consolidate the products and deliver to the vessel. As said, the port hub where the products they are delivered just on time. It could also be the ship owner's own port hub that is still managed by Moscord's processors, or it could be a ship chandler which are consolidating the products as well, which we have in several ports. Let me just jump to this video. Yeah, so I'll start the video now. And what you see here is directly on board the vessel, where the purchaser is selecting, in this situation here, one product. He will put it in the basket. And when I say purchaser, that is actually now, for instance, the marine engineer on board the vessel. Here we are in the basket, and he will now create a requisition with information he will fill in, needed information for this specific requisition. These fields here is actually designed specifically for each buyer, so we can create such a table here with whatever information the shipping company wants to have linked to this requisition. Now the requisition is sent from the online marketplace, and now he will make a process where we see he has now opened Certica, so he is in his good old requisition system now. And we see here that there is the requisition here, which will now be imported into Certica. And remember, all this is literally going on board the vessel. So instead of typing in free text into the requisition interface, he has now selected the products on Moscord, and via this punch out, it is now transferred to the requisition system. So that was a little presentation about this. Let me find my slides again. Yes, as you see here, we are in the control room, and they are using Moscord here online. On this vessel here, they have Moscord in the engine control room. They have also a computer in the deck's office room, and they have one on the bridge. So for cabin stuff, it's very often ordered from the bridge. All products used on the deck is ordered from the deck, and here in the engine from this computer in the engine room. But the process is going on in exactly the same way. The good thing is that each officer, chief engineer, master, cabin officer, they have their own login, so they are actually filling up their own basket, so that we also can split the transactions so that they go into the right account on board the vessel. That is just one of the functionalities we have on the front end, on the marketplace, to facilitate procurement or ordering directly from the vessel. I will now talk a little bit about how e-commerce actually can help us to reduce prices. And this is here where what I'm telling you now is, of course, mainly input for further discussion. We in Moscord do not have what you say that we are doing the things in the most perfect way. There is still space for development, and there is absolutely also still space for input from all the people in this business here. But the toolbox for a purchaser, as I see it, how can we get down our unit prices? Of course, good old fashioned negotiation is still something we need, fortunately. Another thing is, of course, purchasing volume. So there is no doubt that a higher volume will definitely also bring the prices down. And here we could also talk about purchasing aggregation between companies or between vessels, of course, but also different departments within, for instance, a big ship manager. But that requires also data quality to aggregate procurement power. Process optimization is another way to get unit prices down. If we, together with the suppliers, the sellers, can reduce the cost in the sales and distribution chain, then we have a big opportunity altogether to reduce both the process cost on the buyer side, of course, but definitely also the unit prices. And then, of course, another thing, which is something we see very often now, Carl was touching this a little bit, try to buy as close to the production source as possible. It is definitely something which potentially can bring down the prices. So let me start with the first point, negotiation. And in this connection, I think we should bring up a little event today. I think the main part of you know Peter Mercado. He's turning 65 years today. So I think in connection with negotiation, I would just mention that and send regards and happy birthday to Peter. But of course, negotiation is easy to say, and trying to get the prices down is easy to say. But it is here, of course, very important that we specify our products correctly. I have just shown an example here of literally two spanners who looks equal. They have almost the same specification. The one is RS Pro, the other one is Barco. And as you can see, the Barco spanner here, although RS Pro is also high quality, I think, but the Barco spanner is more than double price of the RS Pro. And it's simply the same IMPA number. So if we send a request for quotation to a supplier and ask him to quote on this number, you can get a $17 spanner, or you can get a $55 spanner. You can even get a $2 spanner, which is also looking the same and under the same IMPA number. So if we really want to go out and do tenders and negotiate, here it is, of course, extremely important that we specify our products correctly from the beginning. And that is what we are trying on Moscord as well. Purchasing volume. We are in a big market in ship supply. The market size is approximately $35 billion US. So it's a big market. If we take about $700,000 US per vessel times 50,000 vessels, that is in the level of these 30+ billion US. So there is no doubt that we can say that we have a huge volume in our business. On the other hand, it is also a business which is very fragmented. And we are still a very small volume business compared with other businesses. I have just here taken Germany. So if you take the engineering business in just Germany, that is a volume of 226 billion euro. And that is just one industrial segment in Germany. So one can say, yes, we are in a big business, but there is still other businesses which we have seen much higher volumes. That means also that if we have suppliers delivering to other businesses and we can start sourcing from them, that's where we really will get able to source from the big volumes. If we take our business, the largest ship chandlers in our business, they have a turnover of about $100,000 US to up to 750, 100 million US dollar up to about 750 million US dollar. So this is still quite a big volume, but we have to remember that a big ship chandler can have about 30 branches around the world. So this turnover is actually shared over many branches. And it is, of course, very difficult to source for each branch all over the world to source from the same source. If we take like a German wholesale like Würth, now this is, of course, also one of the biggest in Europe, but they have a turnover of 14 billion euro. that is corresponding to about 16 billion US dollar. So just this one industrial wholesale actually have the same as the half of the turnover in the entire ship supply business. So I'm not saying that volume is not a tool to get down the prices, but we just have to remember that we are still on a relatively low volume in our business because it's maintenance, it's not production where the big material and product flow is. So it's just something to have in mind. Process optimization. I think we have all tried to buy something on Amazon. And the way we buy on Amazon, Carl was also touching this. We go to Amazon, we see the products we want, and that is also the products we will get. And we are doing a direct order on Amazon, and we pay in the same instant. Amazon will send this transaction or this order to for instance, the manufacturer's warehouse. The manufacturer will pick and pack and deliver directly to our door. So here we have maybe the most leanest sales and distribution channel we have today. And one can say that to buy a flat screen on Amazon and get it pick and pack directly from the manufacturer's warehouse is of course a cheaper or lower cost process than if I go down and buy a flat screen on Orchard Road here in Singapore, where the flat screen has to go from the warehouse of the manufacturer, maybe to a stockist, middleman, down to the shop where we have some people trying to sell the flat screen. And then I take the flat screen, I put it in my car and I bring it home. It is, of course, huge changes we have seen in the introduction of e-commerce. And it doesn't matter how we turn it, we will see that in our business as well. That can be with or without Moscord, but it will definitely go in this direction. Here is how we are doing in our business today. Normally a ship owner is telling a ship manager that you have to send out 3 RFQs to 3 different suppliers. And this is done. Each supplier will quote back, and the purchaser will select the best quote and even cherry pick and take, in this way, build together information enough so he can place the PO. I have done, when I started Moscord, some investigations of what is actually the cost for quoting in our business. And I came to a number of about 30% of a trading house, ship chandler, whatever reseller we have. 30% of the cost is RFQ quoting, and also sourcing on the other side as well, because for instance, a reseller in our business will also send maybe 2-3 RFQs out to the sub-supplier underlying, and they will also start quoting. And we have to remember that when we send out an RFQ to 3 suppliers, only 1 will get the order, but the cost is still there for the other 3 suppliers. So the fact that a supplier in our business is mainly getting the order, if we do RFQ, normal RFQ quoting, mainly getting the order every 3rd time or 25% of the time, the cost for each quote will still have to be covered by 1 person, and that will be the person who buy the products. Now we can also say, how is that then affecting the price on the products? If we say, I'm not saying that this is correct, that this is 30%, maybe some suppliers they have 20% or 10% of the cost, but it's not too far away that 30% of, for instance, the ship chandler's cost is normally this RFQ quoting and sourcing. If this is correct, then about a 1/3 part of the markup, the total markup, we have the cost to quote there, will be about 5-8% of the product's price, which will have to be added to the unit prices because we are running such an expensive process with these RFQs every single time we have to buy something. So if we could optimize our ordering process in a way that we could do much more direct orders so that our dear ship chandlers, suppliers out there don't have to quote 2, 3, 4 times before they even get an order, but actually could take in the order with high data quality, even their own product ID, direct order, deliver to the vessel. Then we have something which is becoming closer to what I showed on Amazon before. And on Moscord, we think it is the direction to go. There is definitely, it will not happen that we can cover everything on the marketplace. There will still be a need of sourcing in our business as well for products which are not found on the marketplace. But if we can get like the big flow to go in this much more lean process, then there is definitely money to save. Source as close to the production source as possible. Yeah, I showed before that this order was placed directly in the flat screen manufacturer's warehouse or his warehouse in a specific region. I went to a DSV warehouse, a very big warehouse here in Singapore, and I saw thousands of sharp flat screens there, and I was asking, where are these flat screens going? And they said about half of them will go directly to the customer store, or half of them will go down to a shop on Orchard Road or somewhere else in Singapore. So again, if we can try to get closer to the production price by optimizing the sales and distribution channel, then this will for sure have an impact on the prices. The production cost is one thing, and it could actually be great if we could start competing on production cost instead of fat in the sales and distribution channel. We are definitely not there in our business, but over the time we will of course get closer and closer to the production cost. So how is the supplier chain looking? We have a manufacturer can deliver his products to a stockist. That could be a SKF roller bearing, where they have region warehouses around the world, maybe one in Asia, one in Europe, one in US. And this stockist will of course need to earn some money and make a markup on the products. Industrial wholesale will very often be the one buying from the stockist. It could also be specialized importers of roller bearings. Here in Singapore, we have two very big importers of roller bearing. They are not only selling to the marine industry, they are selling to the entire industrial industry here in Singapore. And from there, our resellers in our business will source the products. So there is, with this jump from one entity to another, of course, a value proposition, all of them for sure, but there is also a markup on the products every time we take a step up the ladder. This sales and distribution cost can of course be saved, and it is of course not the way that we can always go down to the production source and buy products. But I think that in the future we will see that we go further down the ladder here, and in this way we will save money and we will reduce unit cost. Even a ship chandler is working on this way, of course. The ship chandler will also try to source closer and closer to the production source. We see ship chandlers importing products directly from China. And that is, of course, again, trying to go as close as possible to the manufacturer source in order to get the prices down and make the logistic and the sales channel as lean as possible. So in my world, it is one of the most important tools in the future, also in our business, to go as close as possible to the production source. But of course, it's not easy. A manufacturer, a stockist, industrial wholesale, and end user. If we take some of the parameters here, there's no doubt that the price from a manufacturer will be lower than the price from the end reseller in any business. If we take data quality required, if we want to buy products closer to the production source, meaning maybe even from the manufacturer, Schneider Electric, Siemens, wherever it could be, Danfoss, we will need high data quality. We cannot order anything from even RS Components, even from 3M, even from anybody, if we don't have the unique product ID of the product we want to buy. These manufacturers, stockists, even industrial wholesale, will never ever answer a free text RFQ. That's why we have our wonderful ship chandlers with this value proposition, that they can answer RFQs even with very poor data quality and still give you a quote back. And that is the way we have been working in our business many years. Product knowledge, there is no doubt that the closer we get to the production source, the higher product knowledge, especially if we are able to buy from the person or the company who has produced the product, then the product knowledge will, of course, for a specific technical product be higher. Where we see as we go up in the sales and distribution chain, this will reduce. And then the big one, the closer we buy from the manufacturer, the more logistic or the more thoughts and creation about logistics is required, of course. And again, our resellers in our business, they are doing this for us, but there is also no doubt that that has a price as well. So that was just some of these things lined up, the differences between and the deviations between buying lower down the ladder and buying from the top of the ladder. Many is asking me also if we wouldn't see an entry seller in our business in the future. And of course we will do that. We will still need sourcing. We will still need the just-in-time deliveries. We will still need the last mile logistics. We will still need consolidation of products, even warehousing of specific products, racks, cotton gloves, etc. So it's not like anybody is going in instead of others, but there is no doubt that based specifically on e-commerce, based on the fact that we will be much better to work with data and utilize data, that will change our business in the future. It will bring down the cost in the sales and distribution chain, and it will bring down the unit prices. Yeah, that was actually my input here and my presentation. On Moscord, we are working to optimize every step in the sales and supply chain. And another thing is that when we start with high data quality, as we work with, where it is the supplier's own product description, the crew members they see, so they can see what they order, they can see what they get. It is drastically bringing down wrong deliveries. I don't know what is normal. I have heard about 10, 20, 30% wrong deliveries in our business. And we just did a stat on Moscord. We are below 1% measured on line items of misdeliveries or wrong deliveries. And it's not because Moscord is smarter than others. It's just because we are starting with high data quality in the ordering process already from the best. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's great, Freddie. Yeah, so that's an overview of how shipping industry can operate far more efficiently, far more similarly to the way we buy our everyday light bulbs and things these days, or how lots of us do. We've also got Michael Klint here, who's the CIO of Moscord. I thought maybe if we bring in Michael just to give Freddie a couple of minutes break. Got a question for you, Michael. Do you want to talk about what's the biggest challenges you're finding? I guess you're integrating all these big systems together, which is a IT CIO's nightmare, isn't it? I guess that's probably what keeps you awake at night. Is it working out how to do all this? Do you want to talk about? You're on my mute at the moment, I think.
Oh, lovely. Let's try to unmute. That makes it a lot easier. I think it's no. I think a big thing that we're dealing with in the market these days is data and data connectivity. Different data threads needing to talk together, and as Moscord works globally, we see that we need to be able to integrate a buyer to speak with sellers around the world in a taxonomy that actually allows their PMS systems to operate seamlessly, have the inventory correct, have the different allocations they need in finance, etc. And all that is where we really see the industry is starting to mature, but it's still a very big data puzzle out there. On my side, I think data is the key. It is trying to define what you would like to buy effectively is the same for everyone. If you won't tell them more than I need to buy a screwdriver, you can get a very big price difference, as Freddie showed in his sample, and therefore people need to start becoming more specific about at least what is quality. And I know that's a subject that the industry has been struggling with for a long time. What is good quality? What's superior quality? And we believe that we are enabling people to make those decisions across the globe.
Oh, very good. So we've got 2 questions on the Q&A. I'd like to invite the audience to want to put in more questions. So I've been looking up the speakers on LinkedIn. I think Volker Wenzel is from Wenzel Marine, a spare parts supplier, and Rasmus Schmidt is from Viking Marine, which provides safety equipment. So he's a big supplier. Volker is asking how you differ from other distributors like Radio Holland. You're not a distributor, so I'm not sure if he's misunderstood. I mean, you probably work with people like Radio Holland, and then Rasmus Schmidt. I'm not sure you want to go through all these questions, and some of them probably confidential, but I guess somebody else can read them out, asking about your delivery process, which I think you haven't mentioned. There's quite a lot of questions. Is Moscord adding another layer to the that's a triggering question. And you supplying ship charters yourself. So I guess maybe do you want to, for Freddie, do you want to pick which of those questions you'd like to answer?
Questions, yeah, indeed. Yeah, I think that there was a question about logistics. First of all, we have a process platform where when we send orders to the suppliers, let's say we get an order in from a vessel with 3 different suppliers in one transaction, then our system will split this order and send the direct orders to these suppliers in question. Let's say it's here in Singapore. These suppliers will deliver to our port hub, and all is managed by our process platform. We have our standard labels, packing lists, pro forma invoices, which will be printed out. So when the products, they come in just in time to this logistic hub, then they will be consolidated and delivered to the vessel. So that is the way we work on the logistics side. We hear very often if we are a middleman, I would say then Amazon is a middleman as well, and Lazada. I take that we are a process platform. We have many suppliers selling directly on Moscord to the buyers, where we are just facilitating the platform and possibly also the logistic process. We have also suppliers on the platform which are not utilizing our logistics. They deliver themselves. We have chandlers on the platform. We are very happy about that, where they get direct orders in instead of answering a lot of requests for quotations before they get the order. So it's a very big fragmentation of suppliers we have on the platform. So I think that was covered a few of the questions. So
yeah, do you want to talk about the delivery process? Rasmus Schmidt, number 3. So you're working with just a delivery company, I guess that's
we have a big agreement with GAC, which are taking care of the logistic here in Singapore, also in Dubai now. In Houston, we are working with Blue Water and others in Rotterdam. We are also working with ship chandlers around the world where they do the logistics, delivering their own products, but also deliver products from other suppliers. So we are like a Grab or Uber setup where any personal car can be a taxi, and any logistic company can actually work on Moscord with the very same processes all over the world.
Okay, so correction. So Volker Wenzel is actually from Raytheon Anschutz. So it's a different Volker Wenzel, works for Wenzel Marine. So I was just making a comment in there. Steen Lund from RightShip is asking how many Moscords will be optimal for the market to have. I mean, you're a kind of data platform, so I guess just one Moscord is fine, or you serve individual customers. I guess you don't need to serve the whole maritime market at once, but you can serve all the one shipping company needs. They don't need to deal with 2 companies like you at once, do they? I don't think so.
Yeah, if I understand the question correctly, we want to work with all suppliers in the business and all the buyers. We are ready. We have been very careful to keep up the quality. So we always say scale, quality before scale. That is one of the very important sentences in our company. but else we can work with any supplier. We can work with any buyer. We just need the time to get them implemented in a proper way. That's very important for us to start the process in the right way. So we are here and ready to scale up even more than where we are now. Radio Holland, Christian, we are not instead of Radio Holland. Radio Holland is a fantastic company which can deliver spare parts to very specific parts on board the vessel, and they have a very high expertise in what parts, and they do service, they do maintenance. We are not at all there. We could have a very nice cooperation with Radio Holland, and has actually started up conversation with them some time ago, where we could be the distributor and help them with the logistic. So a company like Radio Holland, we will not be a middleman. We would be able to support the process for a company like Radio Holland as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Rasmus Schmidt is correcting. He's from Seaspan Ship Management, not from Viking. So I've got 2 wrong out of 2 so far. But Jens Pfeiffer, I think, is from Zeppelin Power Systems. So he's saying other ship chandlers have tried to change his operating model, but shipping companies really want to do this 3 quotes minimum model. I think how are you changing the culture? I think this is the hardest part of what you're doing, isn't it?
Yeah, we have this, that ship owners, they ask, like ship managers, and ship owners ask the purchasers to remember to send out 3 or 4 RFQs before you buy anything. And I think it's the good old way to look at the things. Then we are sure to get the cheapest price. But I normally say you get the lowest price and the most expensive process. And it could be good also in our business if we try to make the processes lean on the ordering side and the logistics side, and not ask every time you need to buy a spanner in Singapore, you ask for the price, and I can tell you it's the same price as last time you ask. We think it's much better to go out in a very structured way to do tender processes with very specific data, and then get maybe every 6 months, 12 months prices home from 2,000-3,000 products covering technical stores and technical consumables, put them on the platform, and let the purchaser order these products the next 6 months with direct ordering and a lean process. That is like the philosophy and the concept. Yeah, but of course the ship owners has to accept that. So I know they say, oh, we need 3 quotes, you need 3 quotes. So I will say you get 3 quotes every 6 months of these 2,000 products, and then I can tell you the prices will go down.
Oh, so there's a couple of questions here asking why suppliers aren't doing this. So Steen Lund, who from I think that was from Right Ship, is saying, why don't chandlers do a system together with this? But I guess the reason they don't do it is because you're kind of going over their head. You're going directly to manufacturers, and that's how it works. There's no reason why. Chandlers also dealing directly.
Yeah, I mean, the chandler could. We have chandlers on Moscord, and we have a very good cooperation with some of the bigger chandlers, and they could do their own platform. I mean, all can do Moscord. I'm not. Anybody can do Moscord. So I'm not saying that we are the only one and will be the only one in the market. We want to be the best and deliver the best quality. But to have a catalog and an online platform on board vessels, that is something all people they can start up. I'll just remind them it's not easy. It takes a lot of effort to get for instance, where we are today. If you are not smarter than we are, it can be that we have much smarter people out there, but else I will say it's a big effort. We have different currencies, we have different payment terms from multiple suppliers, we have all the logistics we have to set up, we have different lead times, we have different quality levels, different brands, we need to match the right demand for the vessel. There is a lot of things to take care of here, but it will happen for sure.
Oh, so next 2 questions are about consolidating suppliers. So Helga Jensen, I think, is from DB Schenker Marine Parts, and Roger Symes from Marine Debt Management in London. I don't know what the exporter record is, but I imagine it's some legal document if you're consolidating deliveries from several suppliers. And Roger Symes is saying if you've got 20 to 30 items from different stockists, does the master need to sign 20 to 30 separate delivery notes and satisfy 20 to 30 payment terms?
This is a question for Michael. Can you tell how we run our logistic and delivery and PODs, Michael?
Absolutely. So there's a number of different ways on trading on Moscord, but basically what we utilize is our port hubs, and in the setup that Roger mentions here, basically there would be a consolidation effort between all these sellers. The paperwork, the marketplace basically consolidates into one piece of paperwork, so it would be a document equivalent through what you would have from a chandler. The same for the export document. So there's not more papers to handle. There's not a number of different terms. That's all basically stitched together as we onboard buyers and connect them to sellers where they choose the right products and the right deliveries. So our port hubs facilitates these services through the different service setups we have. And that is the thing. We're a marketplace. We're not the person, end of the day, selling the items. How many should there be? We believe that there can be one marketplace because this is the facilitator for everyone to sell. Not multiple parties needed. And on board, it would be extremely difficult to tell the crew, you need to use this marketplace when you're in China, you need to use this one when you're in South Africa, you need to use this one in the US. Therefore, Moscord works globally. We welcome everyone to sell on Moscord. Our services are set up so that everyone can sell, they can consolidate and reach the owners as they need effectively. So we have spent, since Freddie started the company till now, on defining these details that allows us to do this. And as Freddie says, it's not that easy. We might not be the brightest people in the world, but we believe we've done pretty well in basically collating all the different data points that are needed around the world.
Yeah.
So,
and then I think we could add in, Michael, let's say there is 6 suppliers in one transaction, in one requisition from the vessel. There will only be one invoice. We have invoicing service. So for this specific PO, only one invoice. So there's a lot of invoicing consolidation on the buyer side as well. There will only be one delivery, one POD when the products they come to the vessel. So everything is consolidated in one delivery. So one requisition brings one invoice and one POD. Doesn't matter how many suppliers we have in this transaction.
Oh, okay. So there's a question from Gregory O'Connell. What if the port agent decides to be an intermediary themselves and ask a markup? I've looked up Gregory's LinkedIn page. I can see he's a former commercial manager with Inchcape, which probably gives a bit of context behind his question. So are you really beholden to GAC now, or you could go to Inchcape instead if they got too expensive, would you?
We don't have exclusivity with logistic companies we work with. We would love to work with Inchcape as well. We have had some contact, and they are definitely represented in some ports where we don't have our other partners. So we are very interested to work with Inchcape. We work a lot with the agents around the world and have a wonderful cooperation with them. Very often we deliver to the agent, and he delivers to the parts or the supply boat. And we take it from there. So yes, definitely, absolutely.
Okay, so Theodoros Charalambos, I think he could be a finance controller with Waypoint Port Services in Limassol. He's asking about data quality and cleaning. So is your software so good that the orders that leave the ship are totally clean software, or do you have any free text in there? I think that's what it maybe comes down to. Is it for Michael?
Yeah, Mike, you can tell a little bit about our data cleaning. We have 12 minutes left, so if we do it a little quick, yeah.
Data quality and cleaning process. I think there's a combination of things at stake here. We use a number of different softwares, including AI and machine learning, that connects both taxonomy and cleans product data. This data is cleaned prior to going into Moscord. So all the data that comes from Moscord as a standard is already cleaned. Then we have the capability of allowing free text because vessels order things that may not be in a catalog. And that is, of course, not cleaned at the interim point, but will be cleaned and added to the buyer's catalogs as they progress. It's a continuous piece of work, but it's both algorithms it's machine learning, it's AI, and it is also manual work because someone needs to evaluate things as they come through.
Yeah, and then we can also say that, as I said before, no catalog in the world will cover the entire demand on board a vessel within any categories. We will always need this opportunity to either use, for instance, interline items or free text to source some products. And we have these facilities on Moscord as well. So let's say there's 300 or 400 line items for a quality store, and there's 20 items which couldn't be found on the marketplace. They can send a free text and they will be sourced and delivered together with the products.
There's questions in Rasmus Schmidt's wonderful list of questions. I don't think we covered up. So he's asking about the current spend through Moscord. I don't know what you want to reveal, but if there's anything you want to say about your number of customers or anything like that, that would be useful. Are you in every port globally? Number 2, and number 4, who's responsible if the goods don't arrive on time or they're bad quality? Do you want to? I think they're quite good questions, aren't they? Can have a go at some of those.
Let's take the turnover on Moscord. We are unfortunately not allowed. We are a private company, so we cannot. We have about 7-8 customers now. Big, nice names. Very proud of this. We have a very good number, more than 100 suppliers on the platform. For the main ports, we are heavily expanding now in Dubai and Houston as well, with some very good suppliers. So step by step, we are covering the different geographical areas. We are definitely not all over the world. We can actually source all over the world, and with a GAC network, we can deliver in many ports. We have delivered small ports in China, US, all over. We have an entity in Singapore, Moscord Supply PT Ltd, and one Moscord Supply BV in Rotterdam. And we just started up in Houston and Dubai now to cover Middle East. So step by step, Moscord is only developing our company based on demand from our customer. On the other hand, we have a very scalable model. It took us a little week to start up in Dubai. That's all. We found the right suppliers and we found the right logistics setup. And actually, after a week after we started up in Dubai, we delivered the first order. So it's a very scalable setup with standard processes all over the world. We cannot deliver in any port in the world for now, absolutely, but we are covering quite well in the main ports.
Freddie, I would like to add, so we might not be able to deliver in every port in the world, but we do work in every port of the world. So that means the marketplace actually facilitates that the buyer can use their own catalogs for sourcing items in a specific taxonomy, absolutely, even in the ports where there's no coverage on suppliers in Moscord.
Yeah. Oh. And in terms of the responsibility, you're not an intermediary, you're a platform. So the shipping company is trading directly with Radio Spares or Danfoss. So it's the Danfoss or Radio Spares is responsible for the quality of the goods.
Absolutely. It's a direct sale from the supplier to the customer. When we talk about what we call merchant sale on the platform, we are supporting the process. We are doing the e-commerce and the logistic processes as well.
Oh, that's great. So yeah, this question I was waiting for Theodorus asking about the integrations with the planned maintenance systems. So who does this? Who makes the integration work? And do you want to talk about how that works? So it says you've got to do this maintenance task, and then here's the supplier. Is it?
Now I have a background in e-commerce, as somebody will know, for many years. When we started to do integrations around year 2000, it was very difficult to do it and took a lot of work. Nowadays, there is a lot of modern tools, open APIs. I'm not a specialist in that. I'm a marine engineer, I have to say, but it is much easier today to do integrations. And it's actually not taking us a long time to integrate to a specific system. I think we are on 3-4 now, and more is under implementation. So every time a customer wants us to integrate this punch-out solution you just saw with Certica, it is actually so that any Certica user is having Moscord today. If they have the new version, they can upgrade of Certica. They will find the Moscord import button in the system. So any Certica user is already having Moscord today. Yeah, so I don't know if you will add anything in, Michael, on the integration side, but it is yeah, with the API.
There's a question from Rasmus asking about ABS nautical systems at the bottom there.
Yes, so let me take these two. I can say for Theodorus, making an API is a combined effort between Moscord and the suppliers or the PMS owners, because there are fields that needs to be mapped. From our side, it basically is just a mapping exercise, because we already have the punch outs ready and the API structure, so it goes extremely fast. Normally we turn it around in around 3 days from engaging a new system. And if we go to Rasmus, ABS Nautical is currently not on the list, but that we can easily put on the list if that would have interest.
Absolutely. And it's important to say that Moscord is not a purchasing system. We don't want to be that. We want to display products for suppliers and take care of the supply chain. That is what we want. So any software company who wants to integrate with us, we are ready. We want that. Yes.
Well, this is a great list of questions, Rasmus. So thank you very much for those. And we haven't answered number 7 yet. How do you get around the issue when you've got different qualities, but items got the same input code? Is that?
Yeah, what we are doing here is that we have the buyer-based catalog, as I talked about in the beginning. And then we work with the purchasers to select what quality, brands, and product qualities they want to be shown on the vessel. So this is a very actually, the way we work on Moscord is a much more interesting purchasing process as we see it today, where we just move RFQ quotes out to suppliers and pick from the quotes. The work you do in e-commerce, like a platform as Moscord, as purchaser, is really sourcing, defining the product, the right brands, the right quality, logistics. Now we have a very interesting supplier here. How are we actually fixing the logistic together with Moscord? So I find it a very, very interesting work to start up with Moscord for a purchaser and a fleet manager, and also interesting to maintain, because all the feedback we get from the vessel, we are consistently improving the marketplace, the specific profile for the vessel. So this feedback directly from the crew members is extremely important. We have something we call e-marketplace development program, where we consistently get feedback from the vessels, and in this way are updating the catalog, increasing the coverage, adjusting the products. Maybe some products are too expensive, some products too cheap quality. Then we change, and next time they order, they will see new products on the platform.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, we've got a couple of minutes left. I mean, I've got one quick question. The size of the change, how much is shipping still using this 3 quotes model? Is it sort of 90% of all purchasing spend is still done with this 3 quotes model? So we're talking about a whole new way of doing things that people haven't really thought about. And I don't know if you'd like to give some closing remarks as you answer the question.
I would say it's coming from the ship owners, because it's only putting a burden on people. They still think that, or believe that they will in this way get the best prices, and they consistently need to check prices in every port call. And as I say, it is the cheapest prices from one of the most expensive processes we can think about. So it is about making the things more. We see a huge development where it's much more catalog based, the things here. We see suppliers preparing their data for e-commerce now all over, which they didn't have before. It was prepared for RFQ quoting and free text handling. So we see huge changes for the time being, both on the buyer side and the supplier side in our business. And we are happy to be a part of that. We have the eGenie catalog coming. We would love to work with eGenie as well. I showed Peter Mercado here before. So anything which can improve the business, that is good for the business and good for Moscord as well.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, that's coming up to the end of the hour. That's been great. A nice little comment from Rasmus there. He's interested in discussing further the C-SPAN. So Michael's in Philippines, Freddie's in Singapore, close to the airport. I think that's been a very eye-opening. So I'll pass back to Vida. Thank you.
So you've heard Freddie Ingemann and Michael Klin sharing their thoughts about the future of maritime procurement. Next week, Carl and I will be hosting 2 webinars, one on mooring equipment compliance and the other on new monitoring and tracking technologies for fleet managers. Summer is a perfect time to learn new things with digital webinars recording on YouTube. Feel free to browse what we have there. And we are signing off until next Tuesday. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.